Hey guys, what's going on? My name is John, also known as Gamester81, and you are listening to episode 87 of the All Gen Gamers. Today is Tuesday, March 27th. I'm here with Pete Dorr. Pete, what's going on, man?
Not too much, Sean.
I am also joined with Jason, the EMU Heine. What's up, Jason?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
And of course, we have Jason Metal Just Rocks. Rock on, man. What's going on?
Hey, not much, man. Good to be here.
And guys, we are all very excited. We got a very special guest today with us. And his name is Walter Day. Walter, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be on the show. Thank you very much.
Now, Walter is the founder of Twin Galaxies. He's the star of several gaming documentaries, including Chasing Ghosts and King of Kong, among many things. Walter, let's start with Twin Galaxies and kind of tell us how that all came about. I know it's a long story, and I'm sure you had a lot to tell, but how'd this come about? The Twin Galaxies is basically a scoreboard for video games, right? People kind of submit scores, and you're the scorekeeper, or you were. So please elaborate.
Well, I was an oil broker in Houston, Texas. That means I'd be on the phone talking to Conoco or to Tenneco Oil or Mobil Oil or Shell Oil and try and find another trader who would trade oil on the spot market. It was equivalent to, it was like Wall Street, but with oil. And so that wasn't going too well. And so I started working on a who's who in the petroleum industry, an actual book with a friend of mine who was investing money in it. And one night he says, I can't do this anymore. I got to go out and play Space Invaders. I said, what the heck is Space Invaders? So he took me to an arcade in Houston, Malibu Grand Prix, the kind that was have all the formula, whatever kind of pretty expensive racing cars they have that you drive around the track.
Right.
And they took me to an arcade that probably had 200 games. It was a monster arcade, and I fell in love with Space Invaders. And then later I fell in love with Pac-Man, and then Centipede, and Gorf, and Galaxian, and Make Tracks. So I started playing video games so much that wherever I traveled as a traveling salesperson, I'd make sure that I stopped at every single arcade that I saw everywhere I went. So I went to over 100 arcades in the space of just the summer of 1981 alone. And I opened up Twin Galaxies in Ottumwa, Iowa, with 22 games. And I opened it up not because I thought it was going to make money. Of course, you'd hope it would make money, so it survived. But I did it because I loved playing video games so much that it gave me an excuse to play more and more and more video games. So I opened up an arcade so that I could play video games and be up till 2 or 3 in the morning every night, and all the young people playing video games, playing Gork and Galaxian and Centipede and Tempest and Frogger. But pretty amazing trajectory. And we were open for only about 2 months before someone got a high score on Defender. And when we tried to find, it was during the weekend, and on Monday morning we tried to find out if this was indeed the new world record, we learned that no one kept track of the scores. So we called up a whole bunch of manufacturers and cutting the magazines of that era were Replay and Playmeter, and told them that we were keeping, essentially we told them we were keeping track of the scores if that service could help them. And they all said, yes, thank you. And suddenly we found ourselves being the scorekeepers, because 30 minutes after I did those 9 telephone calls, 7 manufacturers like Williams and Atari and Stern and Nintendo, Universal, Taito, 30 minutes after I made those phone calls, I got a phone call from Tennessee, and I'm in Iowa. And that Tennessee phone call was someone reporting a Galaga score. And so we were in business literally within a half an hour, and everything grew. And within months, we were getting 30, 40, 50 phone calls a day. And within a year, I think we were getting close to 100 phone calls per day from people all over the place, even Italy and South Africa and England, and faraway places. People would want to know what the high score in Gorf or Galaxian was. So we became the scorekeepers back then. And then the industry began to consider us an important contact. And whenever someone called up from showbiz, they'd send them to us. And that's how Life magazine ended up coming to Twin Galaxies and doing that famous photograph that you've seen in both Chasing Ghosts and King of Kong, the famous group photograph.
Right.
Yeah.
That was November 7th, 1982, on the street outside Twin Galaxies. And then That's Incredible came into the history, what we call history's first official world championship. It had people from Canada and the U.S., so who knows if that's really officially a world championship, but it was officially the first big video game championship that involved lots and lots of hand-picked superstars from all corners of North America. So, and then the governor came and proclaimed us the video game capital of the world, and Atari came and proclaimed us the video game capital of the world, and the Amusement Game Manufacturers Association came and proclaimed us the video game capital of the world. So we were really going through a lot of interesting stuff back in 82, 83. And that went on for years. Then I retired for some years, and I came back and we created the official Video Game and Pinball Book of World Records, which essentially is around 1,000 pages. It's a good published book. But we don't really do that now because we send all our scores over to Guinness, which puts our scores into the Guinness Gamers Edition, the Guinness World Record Gamers Edition, and we have our database online, so people can check. I don't know. I think it's like about 135,000 different games or game tracks that we maintain rules and enforce those rules and monitor and verify world records on us. But we're pretty busy. And I am retired. The only thing I work on now is I'm helping them develop the trading card set that you might have seen in the media a lot recently.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
So, Walter, I have a question. So this is like taking place in the early 80s, before internet was really big. So how would people keep track of the high scores? How would you communicate the high scores? Was it this book you published, or what was the means of people to look at the high scores?
People would usually find the high scores in the video game magazines of that era.
Okay.
Our high scores were carried by Video Games Magazine, Video Game Player Magazine, Computer Games Magazine, Joystick Magazine, Computer Entertainment Magazine. I think 5 different magazines and then an Italian magazine regularly carried our scores. So people would see our scoreboard, our leaderboard, they'd want to get in it, and tell them where to send their scores. And at that point in time, they would just have a form filled out with a photograph of the final score on the screen and an affidavit form signed by the arcade management or the location management and 2 witnesses. And of course, we didn't know what we were getting into by giving them that. That is the means for verification, because a lot of people just sent them anything they wanted.
Right.
But over the years, we ferreted out the improper scores and have monitored and verified real world records. Because nowadays, people have to turn on their game. They have to film themselves powering up their game, going through all the routines of setting the difficulty settings and selecting the tracks and selecting all aspects of the gameplay, all parameters, and film the entire gameplay, then film the end, when it's the end and they put their score in and everything like that. Then they have to send that either on DVD or a videotape, and our referees watch the entire thing. And usually the referees will be somewhat familiar with that game, and they got to verify the score completely, and then it goes up on our database.
Cool.
So even at times when someone has to play the game sometimes they play upwards of 25, 30 plus hours, they have to sit there and watch that game for those 25, 30 hours to verify, make sure that they didn't, pause it, restart it at another time, is what you're saying, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. They have to verify the whole thing by watching it all the way through. Some of those big, long ones like that, the referee will have to do it in sections. Just spend 2 hours this day, 4 hours that day. Watch the whole thing.
Right.
And they're all volunteers. They've all been volunteers, too. Well, one of the goals of the new CEO, Pete Bouvier, is to make it even more a professional company, whereby the people who do this incredible ordeal of watching these tapes actually gets paid for their efforts.
It's definitely quite a job to sit there, and a lot of people don't even think about it. They think, they're going to submit the score and that it will just go into the database, but they don't realize what it really takes to verify. And, you're trying to create something that is fair for everyone. And it's a huge task and a big job. That's for sure.
Absolutely. That's well said. So Twin Galaxies has an amazing legacy because it was and I can't take credit for Twin Galaxies. Twin Galaxies is the child of hundreds of people, all nourishing it, nurturing it, keeping it going, and donating and contributing their time. So Twin Galaxies actually is an expression of the video game age itself. So it's a pretty amazing experience to be part of it and to watch it grow. And I believe that it probably will last for years and years and years and be something important for future generations of gamers.
Yeah. Hey, Walter, would you have ever imagined that 30 years later, after starting Twin Galaxies, that it'd still be around stronger than ever?
Well, originally I thought it was going to be just an arcade.
Right.
But then it grew into the scoreboard. And I just went and did it every day every month. I always felt I was doing something I was supposed to be doing and that it would mean something someday. But how that's going to manifest or how that has manifested still defies my understanding. It could very well, Twin Galaxies could grow into being a very, 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 very big institution that possibly someday could become like a nonprofit foundation. Who knows?
Make sure to follow us, the All Gen Gamers podcast, on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube and in iTunes. And don't forget about those iTunes ratings, guys. We appreciate those. And for all other info, links, and our forum, please visit www.allgengamers.com.